Are cars worthless once they hit 200,000 miles? Are they ready for the scrap heap, or are they the secret to affordable budget motoring? This car has done just over 220,000 miles, and most people would say that it's finished. Dealers wouldn't want it. Used car buyers would be very wary. But here's the question: is it worthless, or are we just scared of high mileage cars? Looking at this car, what is it worth? So if we look at Wee Bernie car, well, 18 months ago, they offered my brother £200 for this car. So let's see what we get today. I'm quite surprised actually, that's gone up. And so what's it worth to a private buyer? Well, it's got about 8 months MOT on it. It's had a fair bit of maintenance done over the last 18 months. It's had new brakes, it's had a couple of new tyres, it's had oil and filter done, it's had a new drive shaft, the exhaust leak's been sorted, and it's had some upgrades. It's got an Apple CarPlay stereo, but with all that in mind, it's still a 220,000 mile Ford Mondeo. Looking on Marketplace and eBay, this is probably worth, what, £500–600 to someone, because it's not perfect. It has got some issues, and we'll get to the barn and we'll have a look at those. But one thing you don't get from those valuations is the value I've had from this car, the adventures that I've been on. This car's taken me to Scotland and back. I've been on holiday with the family. I've got to work every day for a year in this car. So again, you don't see all of that. And if you look at it another way, if I'd leased a car for £300 a month, in a year, that would have been £3,600. That's basically 7 of these. I mean, which would you choose? And I know some of you are going to be thinking, well, I'd pay the extra money to have that peace of mind, and that's absolutely fine. But it's worth bearing in mind that new cars break down too. Last year, I documented what I spent on this car, what I spent on repairs, on maintenance, on upgrades, and what I saved by doing all that work myself. But that's not the full story, is it? What about the things I didn't fix? What about the things I looked at and thought, you know what, I'll take a gamble on that? Well, let's go to the barn and have a look. And you know what's really nice? The sun is shining. It feels like it's been so long since we've had the sun shining, blue skies. It's 15 degrees outside. I can't remember the last time it was 15 degrees. And with the car back at the barn, let's have a look at some of the things that I've put up with. Some of the ticking time bombs that I'm just waiting for them to go wrong, that I'm going to have to spend some money on. First things first, we're going to plug the car in and look for any troublesome fault codes. And to do that, we're going to use our Carly. Yeah, we've used this all throughout last year to keep an eye on how this car's doing and check out any fault codes that might pop up. And to do that, we're going to take our Carly scanner. And now with that plugged into the car's diagnostic port, we're going to connect to the Carly app using our phone. Carly's app and scanner gives you manufacturer level diagnostics, customization, coding, and access to hidden information about your car that you might not even know is there. And now with the Carly app on our phone, connected to the scanner plugged into the car, we can check out for any fault codes that this car's got hiding. And I think there's going to be a few. And so we press diagnostics and we can have a look here. So we're going to check to see what issues this car's got hiding. Is it going to be very bad, or is this going to be okay? I don't know, with 9% gone through so far, we're at 6 issues. And with that complete, it's just going to analyse the results and then we'll know exactly what the problems with this Mondeo are. Okay, so that's moderate. That is not very bad. So the problems with this car, we've got some problems with the instrument control panel, the body control module, and the heating, ventilation, air conditioning system. Everything else on the car all looks good. But these codes might not be related to anything that's current. They might be stored old codes that maybe from when the battery went flat on this the other week. So what we can do is we can clear these codes, and then if those codes return, we know that there might be a problem. But otherwise, we might have actually just saved ourselves a load of money going to the garage over something that we just didn't need to. One of the features that Carly has is live data, which is really helpful when you're trying to diagnose a fault with your car. So Carly will give you the fault code, but then using the live data, you can actually track what that problem is. And I had this with the emissions on that Mini R56 that I was working on. I just couldn't get it through the emissions for the MOT. So using my Carly, I plugged it in and I could check the oxygen sensor voltage to bank 1 and bank 2, and I could actually see that I had a lambda sensor was faulty, and that was what was causing my problem. So again, without being able to read live data, I just wouldn't have understood what was going on with my car and how to fix it. Not only does Carly help take the stress out of car ownership by keeping you informed with what's going on with your car, but you can also save yourself a bunch of cash too. If you use the link in the description and the code BARN15, you'll get 15% off at checkout. So what are you waiting for? Get yourself a Carly today, use the link in the description, code BARN15, and you'll save yourself even more. Thanks Carly for sponsoring this video and supporting the channel over the last year. Now let's have a look at what else is wrong with this Mondeo. Do we need to worry about those fault codes? No, we don't. Because they were all self-inflicted. And that sounds like a weird thing to say, but the HVAC error code has come up because we've changed the stereo for an aftermarket Android head unit off of AliExpress that's got replacement HVAC controls. So I think it's just causing a bit of an issue there with the coding. Not massively worried because everything still works. And then the dash codes and the body control module codes, I think that's all related to where we swapped the dash because they weren't there before and now they are. So again, because we've put a facelift dash in this car, we've got a much better dash to look at. We've got the parking sensor controls in there. It just freshens up the way the car looks inside. And the trade-off is we've got a fault code that we'd never know was there unless we plugged it in and scanned it with our Carly. So again, I'm not worried. Other than that, we've got no codes. So as far as the electronic systems on the car go, we're absolutely spot on. We'll have a look at the suspension because this is still on its original factory suspension. So it's done a good job to get this far, but it's starting to look a little crusty. We're at the point where they're probably due a change. I mean, there's no probably about it, they're definitely due a change. Oh, hello. Tyres, again, these were fitted a few thousand miles ago, so nothing to worry about there. Or you'd think, because actually, with the wheel off, we can see that the bead is leaking on these tyres. And it's probably where the paint is just all cracked and damaged from these wheels being curbed many times over the years. And what's that meant is that basically the wheel's not sealing because the air is getting out underneath the lacquer and yeah, it's leaking. So probably once a week I have to top these tyres up. It's not ideal, but again, it's a budget car. I've just lived with it. Then if we look at the shocks down here, we can see that these rear shocks, and it's the same on the other side, are starting to get a bit rusty. And cleaning it off with a bit of brake cleaner, you can see that actually it looks pretty crusty. They still work absolutely fine, so there's no problem there, but how long is it till they rust through? And then I'm looking at a replacement. So what's it gonna cost for the rear shocks? And then the rear top mounts as well. So again, that's something we'd have to consider if we want to keep this car on the road for another year. And it's the same story at the front, except this front tyre is the original one that came with the car, or rather, when I got the car, so almost 18 months ago, and it's pretty much worn down to the wear blocks. So I've got a new tyre coming, but unfortunately it looks like Tyre Streets have gone out of business. So I've had to pay a little bit more for my Accelera tyre. But a new tyre, £58, it's going to cost me £10 to get it fitted, so £68, and there's a new tyre on this rim. And hopefully this one won't be leaking air because it seems okay. But the suspension is a similar story. The roads around here are an absolute nightmare, but the fact that it's got the original suspension on it actually shows that Ford fitted some really good stuff to this. But the front dampers are just starting to mist a little bit of oil now. The springs are looking a little bit crusty, so I'm probably going to have to replace the springs at the same time. And the top mounts are creaking a little bit from where I've hit one too many potholes over the winter. So that looks like quite a hefty repair bill. Or I could just drive it until it gets worse. But either way, I'm probably going to have to get the wheel alignment done. Under the bonnet, well, we've just done an oil and filter change in the last few weeks. It's had a new auxiliary belt, so that's all good. And it had a new turbo before I got the car on 220,000 miles, almost 221,000 miles. We're probably about 30,000 miles away from it needing a new timing belt. So it was done at 150, and since then Ford have revised that down. So another 100,000 miles on top of that would take us up to 250,000 miles. So we're a little way off that, but it's worth considering that that's going to be needed to be done in the future. But otherwise, it all seems good under the bonnet. Let's have a look at the interior. How's that holding up after 220,000 miles? Well, it's too nice a day out here to hide in the barn. So let's get the Mondeo out and we'll take a look in the sunshine. So pulling the car out of the barn, it's such a nice day. I thought, you know what, let's just go for a drive in the countryside. I mean, where better to talk about the interior of this 200,000 mile car than from in the driver's seat. One of the problems with older cars and high mileage cars are that the interiors start to feel tired and dated, and yeah, they just feel really worn out. And when I look at this car, I'm pleasantly surprised. The steering wheel actually doesn't look too bad. It's, yeah, do you know what? It's in fairly good shape. There's no obvious tears or rips or, yeah, massive wear patches on the steering wheel. And the seats, again, they're perfectly fine. They're not worn, they're not ripped. The bolsters on these seats have done really well. And that's not always the case. On a lot of cars, when the mileage gets up, the bolsters start to wear. So you want to look for bolster damage, wear to the leather, or even like the collapsed foams. That's quite common as cars kind of go up in mileage. But that's not the end of the world, because it's quite easy just to go and buy another seat, undo 4 bolts and a couple of connectors, and just swap it over. And I've done that so many times. One of the things I've done with this car that made a massive difference is something you can do as well. It's quite easy. It's just changing the stereo. Updating it for a modern touchscreen with Apple CarPlay just totally transforms the experience of owning an older high mileage car. Because again, if you're buying a high mileage car, the chances are it's a good few years old and probably didn't come with CarPlay. And with a simple stereo upgrade, it breathes new life into the cabin of the car. And it's just an upgrade that I will do with every car because it's so easy, so cheap, and makes such a difference. And so a torn steering wheel, an old stereo, seats with worn bolsters and torn leather, those are the things that are going to make people think that a car's ready for the scrapyard. And it's going to play on their mind every time they get into the car, regardless of any little mechanical niggles. Those are the things that you're going to remember, and those are the things that are going to make you want to change your car. So are high mileage cars the answer to cheap, budget, affordable motoring? Well, let's look at it this way. Let's say you spent £2,000 in your first year buying and maintaining your high mileage car. Well, that on average is about 35p a mile. So that doesn't seem like a lot. When you compare that to buying a new car, well, on average in the UK, new cars depreciate at around 67 pence per mile. So if you're then looking at a £300 a month finance payment on your new car, well, then all of a sudden you're looking at around about £4,000 in depreciation in that first year, and then another £3,600 in finance payments. Just do the maths, that's a lot of money. And for some people, that's the right thing to do. There's all sorts of reasons why you'd want a brand new car. And look, I'm a car guy, I love cars, I love brand new cars, but also I like the idea of keeping these older, higher mileage cars on the road, because is there really anything wrong with them? Or are we just too quick to throw out a car once it hits that high mileage because we're scared about high maintenance costs and unreliability? So why are we scared of cars when they hit 200,000 miles? Do you know what? I don't think we need to be. Well, not if they've been regularly maintained, and I think that's the key, because when you look at this 2.2 Ford Mondeo, this engine has been used in so many different cars. You've got them in Jaguars, Land Rovers, a whole bunch of other cars as well. So I think higher mileage diesels from the sort of mid to late 2000s, there's absolutely no reason why you should fear these if they've been regularly maintained, and I think that's the key. So I guess the question here is it the mileage that kills off these cars, or is it the lack of regular maintenance? Now, let's be honest about this. We can look at this through rose-tinted glasses and say, yeah, do you know what, we should all go and buy high mileage cars because they're cheap. But let's be honest, there are a few things that if they were to go wrong would instantly write this car off. And one of them I'm a little bit concerned about. So of course, turbo failure, straight away, if the turbo goes on this, it's done. But luckily this car had a replacement turbo probably around about 70, 80,000 miles ago. So I know that's good. Then of course, we've got rust. That's always a consideration with high mileage cars. But again, this is particularly clean. And the good thing is rust is a pretty easy one to spot. If you look through the previous MOT histories on the car, you can usually see rust mentioned. It'll be something like rusty subframe but not seriously weakened, or rust around a structural point but not seriously weakened. If you've seen that year after year on the MOT, the chances are it's probably one to walk away from. And then the last thing for me, the one that could finish this car off, is a clutch or gearbox issue. And that's the one I'm worried about, because this, after 220,000 miles, has still got the original clutch. So again, it says a huge amount about the clutch in this car, but that's the concern for me, because it doesn't feel great as it is. And I don't know, it's not slipping, it's not particularly high, it just feels a bit loose and a bit lazy. So for me, that's the one thing that really I lack confidence in this car is this clutch going to make it another year? And that gets me thinking, should I sell this car? Should I let someone else get the use out of this? Or should I just run it into the ground? Because if I keep going with this car, that's probably what's going to happen. Because a replacement clutch on this, just the clutch and flywheel kit alone, is about £750. And then I've got to get that fitted, because it's not a job I could do at the barn. So I'm probably looking in the region of £1,000 if this clutch goes. And I just don't know that I'd want to put £1,000 into this car. But then again, if everything else is good, and I'm putting £1,000 in to get another year or 2 or 3 years motoring out this car, then actually, is it worth it? Do you know what? It just might be. So what's next for the Mondeo? Do you know what? I don't know. I'm doing a lot more towing, so I'm worried that I'm going to put a load of extra stress on this clutch and it's going to fail. At the moment, it's a perfectly usable family car that I could probably sell for £500–600, and it'll do someone really well, hopefully at least to the next MOT in 8 months' time and beyond. Or do we just run it into the ground? And that's my worry. I love this car, but I think I could be the death of it. And so I don't know, guys. Let me know in the comments. What should I do with this car? Should I sell it on to someone who needs a cheap car? Or should we see exactly how far we can get this Mondeo down the road? So let me know what you think. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out this video if you want to see where this Mondeo journey started. If not, YouTube thinks that you might find this video interesting.